Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and today we have probably one of the most important videos I think I've ever made. It's a video that kind of covers the past couple years of Call of Duty and breaks down exactly what happened to the franchise and kind of discredits a lot of theories as to why Call of Duty is going downhill. Of course, we recently had the news that COD lost 1/3 of its active player base, and people are saying, well, maybe that's just because it was World War II. People are saying maybe that's the COVID peak kind of like dropping off a little bit. Activision themselves recently came out and said the game's World War II setting didn't resonate with some of our community, and we didn't deliver as much innovation in the premium game as we would have liked. So people are blaming COVID, they're blaming World War II, but I think the reality is COD itself is messing up really bad, and I think we can see clearly what Activision is going to be doing in the future to try to correct that. So here we have a chart that shows the monthly active users for the Call of Duty franchise. Activision themselves classifies a monthly active user as an individual who accessed a particular game within a given month, and here we can see every single quarter broken down. We had 55 million active users in Q1 of 2016. That was right after Black Ops 3 came out. We had 51 million users in Q4 of 2016. That's when Infinite Warfare came out, so on and so forth, right? It was all pretty average across the board. Call of Duty had a pretty consistent monthly active user base, according to Activision themselves in their shareholder reports. And then something interesting happened. It dropped down to 36 million towards the very end of the Black Ops 4 life cycle. Then out of nowhere, it spiked up to 128 million active players in Q4. Well, what happened? Well, during Q4, Activision released Modern Warfare 2019, and when a lot of fans look at these stats right here, they say to themselves, wow, Modern Warfare 2019 was by far the most popular COD of all time. It saved the franchise, so on and so forth. But something else happened in Q4, something much more important. COD Mobile. They count COD Mobile in this, guys. COD Mobile released, and it's free to play. And we actually have the stats of the monthly active users for COD Mobile. During its first month, there was 150 million unique installs. And then during Q4 there, they had 79 million active players, then 76 million, then 62 million, then 50 million. And it kind of dropped off and stayed a little bit average around there. But yeah, so the stats we look at right here are actually really, really misleading because the lion's share of these monthly active users are from COD Mobile. If we get rid of all the COD Mobile stats, which are available online, you can look them up and you can find them. These are the actual monthly active users for COD after the launch of Modern Warfare 2019. If we look at the averages here, the average monthly active users going from 2016 to 2019, which included games like Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered, Call of Duty World War II, and Black Ops 4, we had an average of 47 million monthly active users. And if we look at what we have here, the adjusted rate for Modern Warfare 2019, getting rid of COD Mobile, we had 49 million monthly active users. That's basically the average from before. The same amount of people were still playing COD roughly with the launch of Modern Warfare 2019. It didn't just suddenly save the franchise. COD Mobile, quote unquote, saved the franchise. We had exactly the same number pretty much for Modern Warfare. But then after that, something really interesting happened. The monthly active users dipped to 26 million in Q1 of 2020, which means right after the launch of Modern Warfare 2019, we had 49 million average players, and that dropped down to 26 million, which was the lowest that we've had in recent memory, going all the way back to Black Ops 3. Like, that was horrible. It's like less than half of what we had previously for a lot of different games. That is ridiculously bad. And that's also right around the same time that the pandemic started. People are saying that the pandemic was what kind of helped COD and saved COD and brought in all these extra players. Well, at the very start of the pandemic, COD was dipping down ridiculously low, actually. It was by far the lowest COD that we've had since 2016. Now, this is just subjective, and this is just my own personal opinion, but I think it's because Modern Warfare 2019 was actually not that good of a game, which of course is why I quit the game and why I wasn't making videos on it and so on and so forth back during that game's life cycle. But let's go ahead and continue. In March of 2020, Activision launched Warzone. It was at the very end of Q1 and the very beginning of Q2. They launched this free-to-play Call of Duty Battle Royale for console as well as PC, and the monthly active users rebounded like crazy. It went from 26 million active players to 63 million active players, which was more than double what we had previously, and it's more than we had at the Modern Warfare 2019 launch, and it's more than we had in the past 5 years in the Call of Duty franchise, again, counting games like Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, World War II, Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare Remastered. This is what's most mind-blowing to me, right? People regard Modern Warfare 2019 as like an actually great game, and whether or not that's true is subjective, but they also point to the player counts and the sales to justify that the changes that were made during Modern Warfare 2019 were overall good, and they rebounded the entire Call of Duty franchise. They breathed new life into the Call of Duty franchise. But let's re-examine the timeline. Modern Warfare 2019 launched to an average number of monthly players, average being concurrent with the same amount of players that we've had roughly over the course of the past 5 years. But then 3 months after launch, that player count dipped to the lowest we've had in the past half decade, including during the life cycles of games like Black Ops 3, Infinite Warfare, Modern Warfare Remastered, World War II, and Black Ops 4, which are not considered generally to be super popular games. It dipped down below all of those games to the lowest amount of players we've had in the past half decade, and then out of nowhere, 4 or 5 months into the game's life cycle, it jumped up to having the most active players in the history of the Call of Duty franchise. Now, this is just me talking here, but if you think that jump in players is because Modern Warfare 2019 found its footing, then I don't think you're being reasonable. The only sensible conclusion here is that Warzone added nearly double the amount of active COD players to the player base when it launched. And then after Warzone came out, it continued to get more and more popular as Call of Duty's active users skyrocketed to heights we've never seen before. We had a slight dip down to 61 million active players, and then it went up to 88 million active players, all the way up to 104 active monthly users, not counting COD Mobile, 104 million active monthly users with the launch of Cold War and the revamps to Warzone. But then after that peak, the franchise fell down hard, dropping to 77 million players, to 66 million, to 52 million, and then to where we are right now with 44 million monthly active players across all premium Call of Duty titles as well as Warzone, which is the lowest that we've had since that initial dip during the launch of Modern Warfare 2019, and it's also lower than the launch of most other games out there like Infinite Warfare and Call of Duty World War II. COD is really down bad right now, and I don't think it's because of the World War II setting. I mean, looking at this chart right here, this is when Call of Duty Vanguard came out. The game was already steadily declining by that point. I don't think it's fair whatsoever to blame Caldera. I don't think it's fair to blame Call of Duty Vanguard. I mean, it's possible that the game could have righted the ship, so to speak, but it didn't happen. The trends were just continuing. Black Ops Cold War was kind of like the peak, and then it just kind of continued to go down and down after that. And I also don't think it's fair to say that COVID really has anything to do with this, because when the pandemic first started happening and lockdowns first started happening, we actually lost active players for the Call of Duty franchise. And then Warzone came out right at about the exact same time that lockdowns were happening across the world. And so sure, maybe that did contribute a little bit, but in general, I don't feel as though COVID is really to blame here. I think the numbers are actually pretty streamlined across the board. It's pretty obvious that Call of Duty itself had a very stable player base. That player base dropped down drastically after Modern Warfare 2019, and then Warzone came out, which righted the ship, so to speak, but that took the vast majority of the players that were still left playing COD, and it moved them to Warzone, which took the number of players that are just playing normal, traditional Call of Duty multiplayer and dropped it down to numbers lower than pretty much anything we've ever seen before. Like the COD franchise, like normal traditional COD, is really down bad right now. It's actually horrible. And then you look at the fact that we have things like skill-based matchmaking, right? Who is that helping? Are they increasing skill-based matchmaking so much because the small number of dwindling players left, they want to try to make sure they're having fun? I don't know how that makes any sense. If anything, skill-based matchmaking is pushing even more people away from normal Call of Duty multiplayer as compared to adding to it, but of course, that's just my own personal opinion. We also have buggy launches. I've said for years now that it seems as though the traditional Call of Duty multiplayer experience is just a front to push people from normal multiplayer into Warzone. It's basically just a way to get more people playing Warzone, and I think that's actually true because the launches of the past couple of games have actually been really bad in terms of content at launch and then support post-launch. And then you look at Warzone 2. It's kind of crazy, right? You look at the chart right here, you see the trends of the monthly active users, you see what's going on here, and now suddenly Warzone 2 is coming out. We have Modern Warfare 2022, which is also going to be releasing. I would say that Modern Warfare 2019 was a game that had a lot of promise at launch, therefore a sequel will likely do pretty well. But looking back at Modern Warfare 2019, it had an average number of players at launch, and that number of players dipped down drastically because the game itself wasn't very good. Then most of those players came back to play Warzone once Warzone happened. So I don't think Modern Warfare 2022 is necessarily going to be the cash cow that we kind of all made up to be in our heads. Like the information that we had had previously before I super looked into this, it kind of said that Modern Warfare 2019 was a very popular game and that people really enjoyed it, but turns out that's not really the case. So the setting alone is not going to sell the game. Warzone 2 is what is probably going to be righting the ship, so to speak, for the Call of Duty franchise and bringing back those monthly active players. But the thing is, what is going to happen for multiplayer? That's always my number one question. That's always my number one concern. I could have easily just become a Warzone content creator and just sold out and did that, but I don't enjoy Warzone. I don't find it to be overly fun. I find it okay every now and then, but it's not the game for me. I am a Call of Duty fan at the end of the day. I've been playing the franchise for over 15 years, since 2007, and I want COD to feel like it used to back in the day when multiplayer was insane. I mean, we're talking about monthly active users here, right? I remember back in like Black Ops 2 and like Modern Warfare 3, we would have like 500,000 active players like just online. Like they actually just straight up showed that in the game. Like on Xbox alone, there's like 1 million active players just right there, like on any given random day. Like the amount of daily players was insane. Therefore, the monthly active users must have been insane back then as well. We don't really have too much information about back then, but still, I want COD to go back to that. I want COD, when people talk about Call of Duty, I want them to think about multiplayer again. I want them to think about, maybe to a lesser extent, like zombies or maybe the campaign, but I want them to think about normal, traditional COD as compared to just thinking about Battle Royale. And looking at the trends right here, it really does seem like Activision is putting all of their eggs in one basket. They are really counting on Warzone 2. They're really counting on Warzone in general to be the massive, like the golden goose, the cash cow for the franchise. And to an extent, it makes sense because the lion's share, I'm using way too many idioms here in this video, but the lion's share of the Call of Duty player base is in Warzone. It makes sense that they would try to cater the game to that, but I don't think they necessarily have to do that. I think they can continue to make Warzone fun and update Warzone. The Kong versus Godzilla thing, I'm sure, is going to be massive, and then Warzone 2 obviously is going to be huge. They can continue to do that kind of stuff, but actually making it so the multiplayer side of things is good as well is going to do nothing but good things for the Call of Duty franchise, because if you have happy players playing multiplayer and zombies and things like that, those players are also going to engage in Warzone, probably, eventually, right? They're not just going to pick one way or the other. They're probably going to enjoy both. I mean, those Warzone players are going to go back and forth between multiplayer and Warzone, and it's just good for everybody involved. But multiplayer has had so many problems over the course of the past couple of years, mostly with launches and rush schedules and things like that, and we know they're doing away with that with Modern Warfare 2022. We know that they're going to be having a 2-year life cycle for that game, which is going to hopefully make the games that come out after that even better as a result, and make it so people are more engaged with Modern Warfare 2022. So this could be the rebound. They have set themselves up pretty well here for a rebound in the Call of Duty franchise, but as I say in so many videos, we're going to have to wait and see how things are going to play out. But I definitely thought this news here was interesting. I've heard so many people talking about this stuff over the course of the past couple of days, so I thought I would just go ahead and do the research myself and make a video and share with you guys what I found. And yeah, the information is actually pretty damn interesting. Also, COD Mobile, who knew? COD Mobile, not even joking. What's crazy is COD Mobile right now has more active players than Warzone and traditional COD combined, which is insane. It's not always true. A couple of different occasions that wasn't true, especially during like the peak of like Cold War and Warzone and things like that. But in general, like since the launch of COD Mobile is bigger than normal COD. And that breaks my heart, man, because you look at like popularity, COD Mobile is #1, Warzone is #2, and then like normal Call of Duty, the thing that we all fell in love with back in the day, that's dead last, and that feels really bad, man. But ladies and gentlemen, that is all for this video here today. Be sure to share it. Be sure to send it around. This is information I feel as a lot of people should have, because there's definitely a lot of misinformation going around. I'm sure I didn't like track everything properly here. My graph looks like shit. It's hard to make graphs. I don't know how people actually go ahead and do that, but this information is all found online. It's very easy to find, and yeah, it's just, it definitely shed new light on the franchise. I want to share that with you guys here today, and hopefully you share the video as well. Be sure to hook the video up with a like, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.